I told you that.
Pleased to be here with actor, author, writer, presenter, someone who's been in films and even a music video, and most importantly, a great comedian, Romesh Ranganathan. Hi Romesh, it's great to meet you.
Hello mate, how you doing? You're right, nice to meet you.
Oh, how pleased are you to get back on tour again?
I'm very pleased. I've got to be honest with you mate, the tour has felt like, I think all comedians feel like this, but I feel like I've been doing this tour all my life, do you know what I mean? It's like, tickets went on sale in 2018, then dates started in 2019 I think, and then I think it was, we were doing the Apollo, had a long run at Hammersmith Apollo. It was like 15th or 16th of March in 2020. I came off stage, agent phoned me up and said, I think we're going to have to postpone the shows. And then I was sat, like the next day, they got in touch with me and they said, right, we've moved the shows by 3 months. And I was like, that feels like a long, like, you know, that feels like a bit over the top. And little did I know that it was going to be 2 years before we go back on the road. But I've got to say, man, it's amazing. Like, audiences seem to be buzzing to be back out. I'm loving it. It's really good. It's really good fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Your tour Cynics Mix Tape is running until June. Are there any plans to extend it?
I don't think so, no. I don't think we'll be extending it. I think that it feels like it's been extended enough. I think that the truth is I'll be looking to come back on the road with a new tour. So I think once this tour finishes, have a little break from touring, not a long break, a little break from touring, and as soon as I've written the new show, we'll go back out on the road with a new one. Do you know what I mean? And I am very excited to do a tour show that actually takes place in all the original scheduled dates, and it feels like I used to take that for granted. Now it feels like an absolute luxury. So fingers crossed.
You're once a teacher and also a rapper. Were there any times where you wanted to pursue these careers over comedy?
Well, with regards to being a rapper, I wasn't really. I gave it a go, like as a bit of a laugh, and I was absolute crap. I had a go at some freestyle battle competition. I was so humiliated in that freestyle rap competition that my friends asked to leave the venue separately to me. So that went badly, and so I decided I don't think I should do this ever again, just out of respect for hip hop as an art form. But with the teaching, I was doing teaching before I did stand up, and to be honest with you, if I hadn't have fallen into stand up, I would have happily done teaching for the rest of my career. Really, I was about to say life. I wouldn't continue to work the whole way through. But yeah, I loved teaching. I really liked it. And then while I was teaching, I thought, let me give stand up a go. And so I started doing it as a hobby thing. And actually, to be honest with you, my original thought was I'm going to do teaching, and then stand up would be something I do at the weekends or something like that as a little, you know, like a hobby, I guess. And then what happened was I started gigging, and then basically people started saying to me, "Oh, you should try and properly give this a go." And then eventually I got to a point where I got seen by an agent, and they said, "Oh, you definitely should do this or you could do this for a job." And so that was the first time I actually considered doing it properly as a career. But had that not happened, I would have happily taught. I really like teaching. I was good at, I would say, if I'm being honest, I was all right being in the classroom, absolute crap at every other aspect of it, paperwork, marking, staying on top of it, all of that, dreadful, absolutely dreadful. So actually, I think it was good news for education that I left.
Your show Relentless Landlord also starred Nick Helm and Sean Gibson. What was it like working with those two?
Well, Sean Gibson, I didn't know before we did Relentless Landlord, and she had just done Peter Kay's Car Share, and we'd watched that and thought, look, I'd watched it and thought it was great, and she was unbelievable in that show, and obviously it's just like a great show, and so we're thinking about who to get to play my wife in Relentless Landlord, and so even the fact that Sean would consider it was like a big deal for us, and when she agreed to do it, we felt really lucky, and she was brilliant, man. She's like really talented actor, really funny, just naturally got funny bones. I learnt a lot because that was my first proper experience of doing a comedy series. And so yeah, I learned a lot from working with her, and we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. But and Nick, I knew Nick Helm really well from before we did Reluctant Landlord. Nick was like, he's been a mate of mine for years. And so again, felt very lucky that he would do it. And Nick and Sean have got very different styles. Do you know what I mean? Like, Nick is, I don't know how well you know Nick Helm stuff, but he's like a bit of a tornado, really. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, him and Sean are completely different styles. But for me, I didn't have any style because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just sort of watched them and kind of learnt a lot from doing it. And it was fun doing that show, Reluctant Landlord. It was great. You know, it was fun on set. You know, we enjoyed doing the shows, but we did a couple of series, and then it just felt like it was time to bring it to an end. It just sort of felt like, you know, when you sort of think, I feel like if we carry on doing this, we're going to be retreading the same thing again. It feels like 2 series and out is a good way to go, really.
Out of all the shows you've done, what has been the most memorable moment?
The most memorable moment? I'd say one of the most memorable moments, I did a show called Judge Romesh, which is basically, I was a judge. I mean, the clue's in the name, isn't it? I was a judge, and like we'd get members of the public in, and I'd make a judgment on the case. Like, you know, it would be court cases like, I'm bringing him to court because he owes me money for our holiday or whatever, and then I'd hear the case or whatever. And the show was fun to do. I did it with Tom Davis, and Kerry Howard was in the first series. Jess Knappett was in the second series, and as a surprise thing, on one of the episodes of that, my mum was brought to court by my wife for making and delivering Sri Lankan food as like a care package thing whenever my wife had just been cooking. And so I was just faced, as a surprise, by both my wife and my mum on this show. And I couldn't see how it was going to work out all right, and it didn't. I managed to piss both of them off. So I actually like to take this opportunity to apologise to both of them. I love you both so much, and please, Lisa, can we just put this behind us? Thank you.
Have you ever wanted to appear on Coronation Street or EastEnders?
I've probably watched EastEnders more than I've watched Coronation Street, because that might be like some southern prick bias or whatever. Coronation Street is like good. I know it's good. I've got friends that watch it, but my wife was like watched EastEnders a lot. I have got no desire to appear on both either of them, really. I sort of think there are better people suited to. It's like asking me, "Oh, Romesh, do you want to play for England football team?" Like, it would be great, but the team would be crap. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I would bring the quality of either Coronation Street or EastEnders down by my involvement. So I've got too much respect for those two entities to get involved. Of course, if things go wrong and I stop being able to do comedy, you and I will have a chat, and I'll have just joined the cast of EastEnders. I'll be telling you how much I loved it, and it's always been my dream to be part of EastEnders because I need to pay the bills. Do you know what I mean? But you just say whatever you have to in the moment, you know what I mean? So at the moment, I've got no plans to join EastEnders, but if I can't do anything else and EastEnders is the only offer, of course I'm going to take it, because my children will not stop spending money.
You were a contestant in the first series of Taskmaster. Did you think back then that the show would be such a big hit?
No, I had no idea that Taskmaster was going to be such a big hit. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'd like to sort of talk about this now. I'm pissed off about it because I got involved when, you know, there wasn't a lot of money in it. You know, it was a bit of an experiment. You know, they're sort of seeing how it goes. Now it's massive. I feel like I've got, you know, I basically helped make that show, you know, and that was when they were paying the least amount of money. Now these pricks go on there, like it's like the biggest show, one of the biggest shows on Channel 4. There's like merchandise, people are going mad for it. There's a spin-off podcast. I feel like a footballer that got in the game before the money came in. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, in answer to your question, I love Alex Horne, I love Greg Davis, I love the production team on Taskmaster. So I purely did that show because I thought the idea was great. So it didn't actually matter to me how big that show was going to be. I just thought it was a great idea. I thought it would be a fun thing to do, and I also liked all of the other people that were involved. Do you know what I mean? It was like a good bunch, like Tim Key, Roisin, Josh, Frank. It was just a great lineup. Do you know what I mean? So I enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed doing it. Am I pissed off that I didn't win a single episode? Yeah. Am I annoyed that the only reason I didn't win the series is because Josh was given an extra point for a fake task? Yeah, it does annoy me. It is something that I consider to be one of the greatest injustices in my life. And I would love and indeed expect at some point for Greg and Alex and the production company involved in Taskmaster to issue a formal apology, because it's a joke. I was beaten for a task I wasn't allowed to take part in. How's that fair? Do you think that's fair?
No.
Yeah, of course you don't. Nobody would think that's fair. So it's the first time I've actually spoken about it publicly. So I would appreciate if you spread the word. Taskmaster, you owe me a victory.
You often speak about your mother and do great impressions of her. Does she ever tell you off for it?
No, my mum is fame hungry and desperate for attention. So the more impressions and the more shows I get involved in, the happier she would be. If I stopped doing impressions of her, she would start telling me off because she would be worried that she would fall out of celebrity. I have never in my life met somebody that enjoys being recognised and being a celebrity more than Shanti Ranganathan, and I'm saying her name so that she's happy. And in fact, I am glad that you mentioned her, because if I hadn't have mentioned her, she'd watch this and she'd also, I didn't come up, why? So thank you. You've helped me get another delivery of Sri Lankan food to my house. Sorry again, Lisa.
How do you deal with hecklers? Do you have good comebacks for them?
When I started doing stand-up, like when I was doing the clubs and stuff like that before I went on tour, you know, you end up having like a bank of heckle put-downs and stuff like that. Because when you do the clubs, they don't know who you are. They've come for like, you know, you go and play the Comedy Store and they've not come to see you as a comedian, they've come to see the Comedy Store. And so you get loads of heckles, like, you know, not all the time, but a lot of the time you would. You're doing a Friday night and people are drunk and stuff, they'll start shouting stuff. And you do build up an arsenal of kind of heckle put-downs and stuff. But now I'm on tour, it happens a bit more rarely, but you still do get people come out and they're smashed and you get heckled. I don't tend to have set put-downs for that. I sort of respond to whatever happens in the moment, do you know what I mean? People like to say, oh, comedians are good at putting hecklers down, but it's not a level playing field, do you know what I mean? They're normally drunk and you've got a microphone. It's sort of, I'm sort of slightly nervous about saying this because I'm about to do a show and I could get destroyed by a heckler tonight because I'm sitting there all cocky saying to you that, oh yeah, it's an unfair playing field. What I'm saying is, I just sort of respond to what happens. I don't really, I don't try to be too horrible to them, but often I end up speaking to my tour manager afterwards and asking him if I was too nasty to somebody at the heckle, because I sometimes go a bit over the top. Yeah, that's it. That was a waffly answer. It could have ended better than that, but that's the point.
Are there any memorable stories from tours you could share with us?
When I was in, this is quite a disgusting story, but when I was doing Southend, not on this tour, on the previous tour, the show was in two halves, and I had like quite a dodgy curry. Sort of earlier that day, I don't know why, I had a mid-morning curry. I don't want to reinforce a stereotype. But I had done, and then as Gratz, my tour manager, said, like for the second half, he goes, right, Ron, we're ready to go. The music started, and my need a shitometer went from 0 to 100 in an instant. And I thought, well, it's too late now. I can't delay the start of the show because the music started, they're expecting me gone. And so I went on stage, just, I would say, in the red, in terms of needing a crap, urgently. But I just wanted to get through the show. I'm going to tell you now, sometimes when you're a comedian and you're on stage, you sort of riff and you sort of respond to what's happening. I genuinely believe somebody could have caught fire in that room that night and I wouldn't have deviated from what I was supposed to do because I was so desperate to get off stage. At one point, I would say about halfway through, I genuinely, while I was doing the show, considered just crapping myself and hoping nobody would notice. Genuinely that thought entered my head because I was so desperate. I thought, maybe I can just, I'll walk a bit funny for the rest of the show, but hopefully people won't notice. And then I thought, no, because I'm quite close to the front of the audience. They'll then think I smell. They won't know it's because I've crap myself, and then the story will start going around Southend that Romesh Ranganathan smells of crap. So I didn't want that to happen. I don't know why I told you that.
Right, that's the end of the interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Cheers, man. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you too. Thank you.
All good?